Good evening, friends. It's wonderful to have a dialogue with Mr. T.N. Nainan. Shankar has introduced him. He has done his stints in business standard, economic times, India today, and he is a veteran in the, the business, the business newspaper. But beyond that, when I asked him what can be the discussion points, he was telling the number is only a kind of slogan or something like that. Is it going to make a big difference? So the mountains to cross to achieve whatever goal that the country has got, he was having different thoughts. So I have aligned my thought and I have oriented my questions towards him in a different way as per his thought process. Like J.R.D. Tata said, let us become a happy country than a developed country. That came to my mind when I interacted with him during lunch. So with that note, now I request Mr. T.N. Nainan to give his thoughts as a first flow. Then I will ask my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Devarajan. Good evening, everyone. Frankly, I'm a little intimidated after that last session, which is of a certain quality which is rare to come by, and to follow that immediately afterwards put some sort of strain on me, but I'll do the best I can. So the subject I suggested to the conference organizers was fifth largest. We are the fifth largest economy, counting in nominal dollars. If you count in purchasing power parity dollars, we're the third largest. But we'll stick with nominal dollars, and we're the fifth largest. If not this year, then next year, probably we'll become the fourth largest. And then there's a lot of talk about, $4 billion, 4 trillion, 5 trillion, 25 trillion, etc. So I wanted to take the debate one step deeper beyond these headline numbers that get thrown about as to what are we actually talking about. So the first question is, why are we the fifth largest economy? And the simple answer is, it's because we have 1.4 billion people. Why were we the second or third largest, largest economy in the year 1700? And China was the first, and we were about equal. And there's a whole narrative about how we were the two largest economies, and we got subjected to colonialism, and China went through other things, and we all fell down some steep ravine, and we landed up where we were at independence, and now we're pulling ourselves up, and now we're fifth largest again. But then why were you the fifth largest or second largest back in 17 or 1800? It's because you had the largest population. We're a fertile country. It can support that population. And it's not that your per capita income in 17 or 1800 was higher than what it was in Europe. It wasn't that you were going through the developmental stages that Europe was already going through, with the birth of a middle class, with the Enlightenment ideas of individualism and rationality and the age of reason, and then going on to the Industrial Revolution. So it's not that we were on the cusp of that change in 1700. We were not. We have to go beyond saying that we are the fifth largest because we have 1,400 million people. And so I wanted to go into some of those other metrics to see where do we really stand. And I wanted to just throw some, just a few indicators to spark thought, if nothing else, so that we can take the debate forward. In per capita income, nominal dollars, we are in the bottom quartile among 180 countries. bottom quartile. 75% of countries have a higher per capita income. If you take purchasing power parity, we are in the bottom third. Two-thirds of the countries have a higher per capita income. We are a long, long way away from reaching even the global average. So we are certainly among the 30 or 40 largest economies, we are by far the poorest. I don't see any great merit, therefore, in saying we are fifth or fourth, when that is the underlying reality of where we are. So that's one indicator I'm using. Then Forbes the other day had a ranking of the most powerful countries in the world. And they looked at economic capacity, they looked at technology, they looked at political power, they looked at military power, they looked at international alliances, they looked at quality of leadership, and so on and so forth. And they ranked India 12th. And mind you, they ranked us below South Korea, which is a much smaller country, below Saudi Arabia, and below Israel, which is a country of 9 million people. So that is another reality check. Then, Naushad Forbes, who's a former CIA president, is absolutely wonderful businessman who's got an active mind, and he writes a column for Business Standard. So Naushad has been focusing on R&D in Indian industry and pointing out where we actually stand. And his assessment was that we are 16th in the world in R&D. And we were just talking about AI and everything else that goes with it. But in R&D, we are the 16th. And I want to give you some of his numbers. He says the company with the 26th largest R&D budget in the world is Bosch. And Bosch does more R&D than all of Indian industry put together. One company. Then he took the 10 most profitable companies in the big 5 countries: US, China, Germany, Japan, and us. The big 5. And he looked at what is the R&D spend by the 10 most profitable companies in each of these countries. And he left out all the trading chaps and the financial institutions and looked at companies that actually do or need R&D. And in 4 of those countries, the ratio of R&D to profits varied between 29% and 55%. That's how much they spent on R&D. How much did India's 10 most profitable companies spend on R&D? 2%. 29 to 55 versus 2. Then he looked at R&D in relation to sales. And in the other 4 countries, the numbers varied from 2.1% of sales to 8.8% of sales. Now, just think of the companies in the size, and you look at 9% of their sales revenue going into R&D. And India's 10 most profitable companies, 0.3%. Okay? And then he looked at actually how profitable are these companies. Let's say profits in relation to sales. And we are the most profitable, except for the US. Our profitability, these companies, are twice as profitable as the 10 most profitable companies in Japan, China, and Germany. So our companies are making money, but they're not spending on R&D. And everybody knows the future depends on R&D. We just listened to a session on artificial technology, intelligence. So you ask yourself, Naushad's gone on and on about this. So, you can just read him up by Googling him or getting onto the Business Standard website. But, so I'm trying to go beyond this top 5 country going to be number 4, etc. And what are the underlying realities? Somebody asked me a question the other day. Do we have any company in India, any company, which has a global brand? And frankly, the answer to me was none. I mean, you bought some companies. Tata bought Jaguar and Land Rover. That's different. And they bought Tetley and so on. But have you built any global brand? Very much smaller countries, very much smaller economies have. But our companies, and we have a vibrant commercial sector. I happen to think that we have smarter entrepreneurs than almost all other countries. They really are smart entrepreneurs. But yet you can't produce one brand. Universities, how many in the top 500? Actually, in the rankings, in the top 250, there's not even one. Then we start getting some, and between the 251st and 500, we start getting 10, 12, 15, and so on. But these are all indicators of the gap between a country, which is, after all, at a lower middle income country, not even upper middle income. So we have a long, long way to go. There are two ways to grow and prosper for any economy. One is you pump in more factors of production. You put in more labor, you pump in more capital, you put in better technology. Well, we'll come to technology, but you put in these two and you can get growth. More money, more labor, and you can get growth. But these are finite elements, so to speak. What guarantees you continuous growth into the future is productivity. So there are certain kind of growth that comes from throwing in additional factors of production. It's a different kind of growth that you get when you look at increasing productivity. Now, the Reserve Bank of India has something called CLEMS data, which actually tracks productivity across decades, going back to 1980 or so. And you look at those numbers, I tell you, it's a wake-up call. Let me give you the numbers. Productivity growth in the last 6 financial years, taken together, I mean, some are positive, some are negative, but in the last 6 financial years taken together, productivity change has been negative. In the previous 4 years, productivity growth was quite impressive. That's 10 years in which you had 4 good years and you've got 6 bad years. If you take the previous decade, 2004 to 2014, once again, you had 4 excellent years, which were the fastest growing years in our history, 2004 to 2008. You had excellent productivity growth. And then for the next 6 years, you had negative productivity. So if you take a 20-year period, and the productivity story is really pretty grim. So we don't have R&D, we don't have productivity growth. We are throwing in, what the RBI data shows is that there is more labor being pumped in, but the quality of labor is not improving. We're pumping in more capital, but at the end of the day, we are, at our stage of development, there's a limit to how much capital you can use. So if you don't conquer the productivity game, there's going to be a limit to how much you can grow. So when you see some of the trends over the last few years, we have to understand it in this context. So, and then I want to come to, am I taking too long?
No, please go ahead.
Okay.
So that the thought flow will be completed.
Well, just a couple of points and then I'll stop. 2 points really. I mean, I have others, but I shouldn't carry on for too long and we can get into a discussion. You know, one of the issues, one of the numbers that's come up, and quite incredibly, the government's economic survey admits it in the latest thing that they put out a couple of weeks ago, in which they said that real wages, and real means adjusted for inflation. So real wages in India have fallen in the last 6 years. Real wages in the organized sector have fallen. Real wages in the self-employed sector and in our own enterprise thing have fallen. It's only in the casual labor market that they have risen. And at the same time, corporate profits have been the highest ever in relation to GDP. What is happening to employment? Company after company is switching from guaranteed secure jobs for workers to contract labor. And then their wages are coming down. So I want to mention Henry Ford and what he did in 1914 when he doubled his staff's wages from $2.34 to $5 a day. And he said, I want to make my workers be able to buy my Model T car. And then he actually drove productivity and change through the fact that now he was paying his workers double. And he later said that this is the best cost-saving decision I ever made. So when I see this trend of what is happening to labor, while corporate profits are going to the roof, and then we wonder, why is consumption slowing down? People don't have money in their pockets. So there is a question to industry and to CII. How are companies dealing with their workforce? And what do we need to be doing about this? Finally, I want to look at growth drivers. In the 1980s, when the economy finally began to grow at about 5.5%, we had the automobile industry finally getting off the ground. In the 1990s, you had the pharmaceutical sector, in a sense, coming into its own because of the way patent law had changed and they could get into generics and so on. And you had the private banks coming in, so the banking industry and financial services took off. In the 2000s, you had both tech and telecom happening. In the 2010s, apart from startups and all the rest of it, you really had the middle class, in a sense, coming into its own. So you had aviation and FMCG and real estate and retail and a whole bunch of things coming together because the middle class became a force by itself. So I asked myself, when I look at the Indian economy today, where are the growth drivers? Now, having listened to this session just now, it's possible that it could be artificial intelligence, and that we get on top of this game, and since we've been told it's a general technology which will hit everything, that we may get the productivity growth changes that are happening, and we may get other benefits that are coming through, and so this might be the growth driver. Or it could be electronics manufacturing, which is happening in a certain way, or it could be something else. But other than this, I don't see Indian industry delivering new growth drivers that are going to take the entire economy along. So I just want to just stop at that and then hand it back to you. Thank you.
So very, very thought-provoking, and you have made all of us to really think deeply into our mind. But at the same time, I would like to understand from you, as a democracy with so much of population, we need to give a lot of hope and confidence to the common man. Yes, there are challenges which we are facing. All these areas have to improve. The corporate profit for industries are there. One side, companies are making huge profit. Laborers are now being engaged on a contract basis, even by government. Government is not giving any permanent employment for various reasons. So, in this influx situation, where do we start from? Because for a population like this, with so much of young population and many people coming out of institutions, believing that they are qualified, though industry says they are not yet qualified to be engaged immediately, we need to train them. But where do you feel that there can be a beginning point, keeping all these positives as well as challenges in mind? As CII, as people involved in this process, where do you feel we can have a starting point? Is it the like the productivity you were telling, productivity and inclusivity? These two things, it has to go hand in hand. Inclusivity and productivity has to go hand in hand. As an industry, we are one among the companies who has a construction curriculum, like a training institute. We trained 6,000 people in different trades. we were having a school. But over a period of 3 years, beyond that, we couldn't get anybody to come and take the training for 6 months, even though we were paying stipend to them. Because there is no system for anybody to get a certificate to go and work as a mason or an electrician or a painter. If somebody comes to me saying that I am a mason,
You don't know whether he's qualified or
where
not.
is qualified or not. We don't have a system like that. So we couldn't continue doing that. Now we are doing it in our projects. When I have a project with 3,000 people, we do train our people within the project itself, evaluating them and doing that. Every industry is doing it. Textile industry is doing it, or every industry is doing it. But we cannot stop and do it. We have to continue to do our journey, and we have to do it. So in your opinion, and you were mentioning about the brands, like you were telling in our personal conversation about Samsung as a brand of the world, which comes from South Korea. We don't have a brand. So in your mind, suppose, great people are here. So where do we have a beginning, at least? Somewhere we have to start transforming this situation into a positive situation, because we cannot look at all these, per capita income or other things. Yes, it is there, but still philosophically we know how to live even a small sum of income. That's one of the beauty of our nation. Though we feel concern about that, but they are able to live and lead a life. So average salary is not more than 15,000 or 18,000 for 80% of the people. That's what one more statistic says. So where do you see there can be a transformation point? Is there any possibility, like the previous session, technology can do something about it?
You asked some very good questions, and I can give you some standard answers that you have to start with labor-intensive manufacturing, that if you can't, you have to invest in R&D to get productivity growth and so on and so forth. These are all standard stuff. But I may have pointed to all the issues that we need to address as mountains to climb, but that does not mean that I'm a pessimist.
No, I don't look at it like that.
I believe that we can face the challenges that come our way, and we have done in the past, and we'll continue to do it, I think. So, I have visited 3 southern states in the last month or so. I spent some weeks in Bangalore and met a lot of people. I came to Hyderabad for CIS National Council meeting, and we heard the Chief Minister there, and then I talked to some people there. And now I've come here, and we've heard this tremendous AI story. What this lady was talking about, what the government is doing, yes, and the hub and the foundation and all the rest of it. And she's saying Kerala is doing it, and Karnataka, of course, is doing it, and Telangana is doing it. And Tamil Nadu has this tremendous manufacturing success story, and it's really showing the way.
Yes.
If you just take the southern states, if the rest of India did what the southern states are doing, I think we'd be in very good shape.
That's a very positive point.
I was in Chennai a few months ago, and I happened to visit a businessman who's a long-time friend. I went to his home for lunch, and his 2 children were there, grown-up adults. And like you often do, I asked about wage levels. And they said that you can't get anybody in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, for less than 1,000 rupees a day. So I said, what? I said, that happens only in Kerala. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the country. They said, no, it's true. So then I asked around, and it turned out to be true. So, and these are all migrant workers who are remitting money back home from the east and from the north in various states. So if we can create that kind of an employment situation in Tamil Nadu, and you can do what Tamil Nadu and the southern states are doing elsewhere in the country, I think you'd be in terrific shape. I mean, then you'd be doing as well as China. So I don't want to give you some macroeconomic answer.
Okay.
I'm giving you a real life thing of we are doing things
Okay.
and it can be done.
That's a wonderful suggestion to the nation. I mean, every chief minister is saying that to the center, follow our model, we are doing it better. And it is the socio-economic balance that is happening in Tamil Nadu or Kerala. The social equilibrium, we call it. You go to any village, you have the connectivity,
No, and
you have the
you're
power.
not busy with social conflict.
Yes,
You know, you're at peace.
it is not there. It is built over a period of last 40, 50 years, but it is now coming up. The other point in some of the southern states is our people are not willing to go and do a blue collar job or any difficult job. Everybody looks for a white collar job. Are we able to provide opportunity for them in
But
that?
you are employing tens of thousands of people in factories now,
Yeah.
in these new factories, in
No, but
different urban...
most of the factories, most of our construction, we employ people from outside Tamil Nadu only, or not people from different parts of the country. That is another important point that we are all thinking. Even people from the village, neither they want to work in the agricultural sector because still there are certain social stigmas are there. So they want respect, so they move out of the village and they go to a town, work there even for a lesser salary, but not in the village. So many of the industries are hotel and hospitality, even the hospitals. In Tamil Nadu, if you go, you will see people speaking other languages, the work class.
I know. A friend of mine went to a shop in Chennai and asked for something, and the shop assistant couldn't understand what he was saying.
Okay.
So somebody standing next to him said, "Speak to me in Hindi." So he spoke to me in Hindi, and the fellow understood.
Yeah. So we are educating
This is the
so
state
many
that had
people.
an anti-Hindi agitation.
So that apart, yes, we can follow some models industry-wise. Tamil Nadu is definitely doing a wonderful effort in bringing that change with the right kind of people at the top level, be the bureaucrats or the...
Yeah, I mean, you see state-level leadership in what you're doing on
Yeah.
the IT sector.
Yeah.
It's just terrific.
So now I leave it to the floor for questions because very interesting. Mind is here sitting with us. So please go ahead with your thoughts or questions. Thambi?
Thank you very much. Stand up.
Sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Nayan, it's such a privilege to sit with such a fine economist's mind, who is today I have noticed before, but this time because this period in your life, where he's really asking us to reflect on some very fundamental things. And thank you so much. But it's about economics. You mentioned R&D and productivity. And I want to really open up the concepts of R&D and productivity. I went to the United States after working here in India for 25 years to join a firm which was helping companies improve innovation, Arthur D. Little Innovation Associates. And at that time in the automobile industry, the Japanese had just started to swamp in the US large companies with enormous amounts of capital, General Motors and Ford and Chrysler. And this little company, Honda, was really startling them with the innovations in its engines and products. And so now we were projecting that the automobile industry, and here's my friend sitting, it takes a large amount of capital to have a new product. The R&D in it, the tooling of it, and so on. And there's going to be the need to have newer generations of vehicles. So we were predicting who's going to be the winners in the automobile industry 10 years hence. And since a large amount of capital is required for R&D and for then tooling up a new product, by that little logic, General Motors and Ford were clearly going to be dominating the auto industry in the world by the end of the 1990s, according to one set, and perhaps Volkswagen in Europe, and perhaps Toyota in Japan, because they had the size. Honda didn't figure. I took a bet with my colleagues in the company that I bet that after those 10 years, Honda will be around and admired, and General Motors and Ford will be limping. These are all American guys. This is, you come from India, you don't understand what innovation is. And we've done R&D, we are the world's strongest, and they were. And the point came was, that I said I'm familiar with, in India and with Honda, that they do innovation in a very innovative way. It's not formal R&D, but it produces outcomes with very little capital. And I wish I'd taken a bet with a larger amount of money and never had it. I would have been pretty rich by the end of the 1990s on that bet, because you know what's happened to General Motors and Ford. Volkswagen, some support struggling. Honda, by that time, was clearly, even in Japan, after the Second World War, they had less capital, and they, using less capital, but human capital. They use human capital as the source of learning, innovation, and improvement by retaining people, paying them fairly, letting people find the solutions and not formal R&D for the things. And this is what transformed that. So, we are looking at measurements of productivity, if I could say, wrongly. In our situation in our country, we shouldn't be worrying about productivity per unit of labor. It's productivity per unit of capital in our companies, in the production process, in the R&D process, and so on, which probably answers your question in a way. Thank you. But I want to Nainan's view, please, on are economists measuring productivity in R&D in a very standard way, which is not appropriate for us.
Arun, I mentioned that the RBI tracks both quantum of labor and quality of labor. So it's also tracking labor productivity. I have no quarrel with your proposition that we address R&D as a process of innovation. I mean, Toyota mastered the whole Kaizen continuous improvement thing, which doesn't probably need that much additional technology, capital at each stage. So, of course, there are different ways of addressing R&D. Okay. I think Gopal and somebody in the back.
Yeah. Kumravel.
But since you said, what can CII do about it? I just want to make a suggestion.
Yes.
Listening to Nainan and reading other people over a period of time, at least those whom I read, what we really require in this country is a mindset change. It is not Tamil Nadu is better, Kashmir is bad, because that won't get you anywhere. That's the kind of politics that politics plays. But can the CII make a suggestion to the Prime Minister or whoever, that can you use your so-called internal think tanks, whether it's Niti Aayog or what is that outfit that Adil Zainul Bhai runs?
Niti Aayog is a think tank.
Capacity building. Can you use these to tell me as a Prime Minister how to change the mindset in this country, which really means a very different approach to what we are taking. Today we are taking competitive state politics. That may have its role, and I'm not commenting on it. But we need a collaborative and different mindset. I don't think CII would feel embarrassed to make such a suggestion. And I don't think why we can't have an Indian Malcolm Baldrige.
Have an Indian?
Malcolm Baldrige or any other excellence model to which we subject not only the large companies, but the state governments. This is what Malcolm Baldrige did back in the 80s. And it had a very good role. And in Tata's we have used it and we have benefited greatly. There are excellence models, whether you call them TPM, TPS. There are excellence models. We have no excellence model. So CII can make a constructive suggestion without being critical. And I think that's something I would like to leave you with.
No, even there is a model by Tatas themselves. the Tata Electronics, which is coming up in Hosur, with a huge investment. That's a new company for Tata Group. All of them are newly recruited, but Tamil Nadu government has given them the confidence and platform in the area where they can support. Similarly, the Tata Motors is coming up in...
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid, in my making my recommendation, isolating a particular company or a particular region of the country, because that immediately goes into negative territory. But to have a national excellence model is not a bad idea. There are other people who've done it. Japan has done it, Korea has done it, America has done it. Why are we shying away? So,
Gopal,
just a suggestion.
to the best of my knowledge, Niti Aayog has a program for sharing best practice with calling state representatives and getting them around the table. And I mean, you know, if what Tamil Nadu is doing in AI and what some of the other states are doing is something that can be shared in one of those comparative sessions, maybe other states will.
No. This is very different. What I am saying is vastly different. Sharing best practices is a granny's tea party. Number of people get together and say, I have done this, I have done that. Everybody goes home happy. I'm talking of measuring it. Like you measure GDP, measure national excellence by companies, by state governments. That's a very different thing. But let me not spend time on it.
Things like Six Sigma and...
You can choose which you want. There are about 20 models available. And CI is very, very well equipped because they have a...
No, probably the leaders are here who have done an excellent job in the past.
Anyway,
years.
it's a suggestion.
No, definitely, sir. This suggestion is a wonderful suggestion, because for the sake of conducting meetings, it's not going to happen. Like you said, there can be some, like the deep technology, there can be some deep commitment for transforming this process. Probably they can guide and...
address changing mindsets. So that you talk to people, you get consensus. There are processes for it. This is not rocket science. It's natural intelligence. We are so infatuated with our
Probably like Shankar proposed this Nilgiri economic enclave. Somebody, the elder leaders can suggest something.
To ask a question, been waiting from... Yeah.
Thanks a lot, sir. Great listening to you and being here in the NED dialogue. When you are touching an R&D in this year's budget, there is some 20,000 crores being allocated by Indian government, which is highest in the terms of R&D's budget in R&D. And they are requesting private universities to be working with the private companies. But if you see whatever we are speaking in the earlier panel in the terms of AI or anything, I am from academia. Academia prepares students who should be ready for industry and what industry needs. But is this the question here that when we are speaking of culture change, Mr. Gopalakrishnan sir was saying, or the thought process to change, is that the academia should bring in the impetus of R&D or research from when the students are in the 5th or 6th standard, or is it industry should support R&D so that that trend can come in? Or what is that? What is that will kindle the R&D mindset for Indians?
I'm not sure that I'm qualified to answer that question. I'm not a technologist, I'm not an R&D expert.
It may be...
I suppose if companies saw that they could, move ahead and make money and move up the value chain, they would invest in R&D. So I don't know why they don't do it.
Yes. It may be both the industry as well as academia has to work together in a real sense. So with this, let us conclude this session, because there is one more session, interesting session, which talks about the other positive side, how the things are going to be taken forward with a challenging situation like this. So thank you very much, Mr. Nainan, and for your wonderful talk and giving. I mean, you had really enlightened or rekindled our minds to think in a different way. Definitely, you are conducting TV shows. Probably some of us will come and be with you in making this happen to the country. Thank you very much.